Man, that's so great. Like it's got me thinking here. I'm looking at the game right now, and if this game were just, this is no slight to you guys, but if it were just the platforming and there was no camera moving around this beautiful environment, like, do we agree it probably wouldn't have sold well?
Nope. Yeah, exactly.
So
And that
what you've done here is what I've been kind of recommending to my audience, which is take something that's solid that already works, aka a puzzle platformer, and then add a gimmick to it,
mhm.
and that could pretty much guarantee, not guarantee, but you have a much higher chance of being successful if you take something that's already successful and give it a gimmick. What do you guys think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, something I think it really helps, especially in the day and age of clips and sound bites. Um, Having a game that can explain itself in a GIF is very helpful.
Yep.
Um, so there's that aspect of it, but then something that Jed and I had a high priority on was let the visuals bring the people in and let the gameplay hold them there.
Yep.
And so that's what we really tried to do because visuals can only take you so far. Um, People get bored of just looking at good visuals. You got to have something really engaging to keep them playing and being like, oh, I wonder what happens next. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you really have to have a high priority on both. I think it's 50-50 visuals and gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was it is funny that you bring that up about our game just being just a simple puzzle platformer, because that is something that throughout development we had a lot of comments from people, mostly on Reddit, because
Yeah.
Reddit's mean.
Yeah, people are
Reddit
just
is the
snarky on
worst.
Reddit.
Yeah, but we had a lot of comments saying like, oh, this is just this game is a stickman game I played on my web browser 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, why would I play this? And it really comes down to, for us, is the experience. It's like, yeah, you may have played something similar,
Yep.
but we are offering you a different experience, um, something that makes you, for lack of, or, without sounding pretentious, that makes you feel something in a way.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
real experience. And it's like, would you rather watch Star Wars or read the screenplay?
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And the Star Wars screenplay, I've been doing this thing where I read screenplays a lot. I love
Me
horror
too.
movies. I don't know if you guys like horror movies, but one of my favorites is The Witch by Robert
Oh, I've been really
Eggers.
wanting to watch
Um,
that.
and then also Hereditary by Ari Aster. And I've been reading those screenplays, and it's no offense to either of those directors. They also wrote their movies. But what I found was there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Like there's something, but it's very little. It's a lot less than you would think after watching the movie. What makes the movie so special is they've taken a core story element, for example, that works. It just works. It's always
Yeah.
worked since the beginning of time, or maybe since Shakespeare, right? Or even prior to that. These classic story arcs that just work. They just connect to human beings. For some weird reason, they just connect. And then
Right.
the garnish, the set dressing, the lighting, the mood, the music it's just fluff. But it's what makes the thing, but it's got that core engine, right? And so what I'm looking at here, and this is true for all video games, you can take something that just works and then dress it up with a gimmick. And that's what that's what I've been doing for all my games. My games they're basically just Legend of Zelda mechanics. Fetch quests, go get the key, go get the ability, move on to the next level, but it's kind of linear. It's not like Metroidvania, but it's more linear. That's basically what I do for my games. That's it's even our third game we're working on, this dog game. And also Father, our other first-person game we're working on. Same
Yeah.
sort of mechanics. So don't complicate things,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I will say, something also very special about the indie game field is large AAA studios, they need to make their money back in a big amount. So they're like, okay, we have to make sure we're doing these kinds of mechanics because analytics,
they're tried and true.
Analytics prove that an open world game where you have waypoints and you have all of this stuff, that's going to sell copies. As an indie game, it's most likely it's just yourself or you and a couple other friends making a game. The overhead for supporting yourself is so much smaller. You don't need a big audience to make your money back. Yeah. You can do something very niche and very experimental.
Yeah.
Something that I think is one of the biggest advantages to indie games, and that's why people play them, is because they want to experience something new.
Yeah.
Something cutting edge.
Yeah.
And even if it's just something as simple as a unique character or some kind of little mechanic that nobody's ever really explored before.
or it's in a different way.
Yeah. Just I think that is really important because you can't compete with AAA games. If you're going to make a shooter game, you can't compete with Call of Duty.
No.
You're going to have some kind of spice in there that makes people interested in playing that over Call of Duty.
I think that's such a good point, Daniel, because instead of focusing on, it's such a good point. And this is good for me to think about, instead of focusing on having all the right ingredients that a AAA game might have, instead you're like, no, we're making a hot tamale of a game. We're not making a meal. It's a hot tamale. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's that one little spicy thing. Another way to think of it is it's a tiny little diamond. That's what you're making. See, I think my audience, something I want my audience to understand is, and this is something I'm still learning, you're selling a game for the price of a Big Mac meal at McDonald's.
Yeah, right.
So you're not selling a $50 game, a $60 game. You're selling something that most people are willing to spend to consume something like a hamburger and crap it out in the next 2 hours. And it's trash.
Right. Yeah.
Or worse, right? And that's what we need to remember. So don't overthink your game. Don't overvalue what your game is. Just make something small, and it's not that hard. Maybe you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's that hard. This might surprise my audience. It's not that hard to make $100,000 off of a game. Like over the course of a year or two, you can make a decent game that's $5-10, and it'll probably bring in $100,000 over the course of its life. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people in my audience, but as long as you make a decent game, it's not that hard.
Yeah, and for sure, be honest, and make something honest, and be true to something that interests you. Make something that is unique to you.
Yeah.
Don't just try to copy someone else because you saw it was successful, or copy someone else because you thought it was cool. Make something unique to you that excites you, and it's gonna help you keep the project going because it's something you personally are interested in, but it's also going to have a unique voice because it's you talking about this, making this thing that is, special. So
absolutely. By the way, guys, feel free to download my free 2D game kit below. It's totally free. It's my treat to you. I used this exact 2D game kit to make a game for PewDiePie in 14 days, and then I got to play it in front of his subscribers, which was really awesome. So download that. Use it however you want. It's my treat to you. Yeah. Okay.